My mind's pretty much occupied when Anzac and anything like this comes around with my dad and his brothers who went to war for this country and formed a great bond with the soldiers that they fought side by side with. The camaraderie of it lasted a lifetime, I believe. My father was a machine gunner on the Western Front, so he had a lot of lives in his hands, and those whose lives were in his hand had a lot of faith in him. And my dad, he marched every Anzac. He was every dawn service as long as he could be. And most Aboriginal soldiers who'd come back, most of them made the effort to be there. And I think it wasn't because they wanted to celebrate with the governments of the day, but they wanted to celebrate with their mates who they went to war with, and who they fought side by side with, and who they remembered and who remembered them. They formed a friendship that could never ever be dismissed with time.
Remembrance Day to me is obviously a very solemn day. It's not a day for celebration, it's a day for reflection and commemoration. This being the 100th year, I think it's a particularly profound and special year. Never has it been more relevant to remember the sacrifice of those who fell. We lost about 10 million servicemen and about 20 million civilians. That's 30 million. By the time we got to World War II, the numbers had doubled. You know, we'd lost something in the region of 25 million military personnel and about 55 million civilians. So somewhere in the order of about 80 million lost during World War II. Staggering numbers. And I think for today's generation, it's very easy for them to lose sight of that. And in the events that we see developing in the world and in our region, we can't take peace. We can't take it for granted. I had the great privilege of meeting 7 HMAS Perth 1 survivors from World War II. So this year, on Remembrance Day, I will be remembering very fondly and with great respect and admiration those 7 survivors from World War II who I became friends with during my time as the CEO of HMAS Perth.
I would be pausing for everyone, because soldier or civilian, I think that, you know, war is not pretty for anyone, and it does cause a lot of trauma. I think that the end of the war is certainly worth remembering, and I think that if we think about war today and how the civilians, it's mostly civilians who are killed rather than soldiers, and that conscription, at least in Western countries, isn't as prevalent. I think it's definitely worth remembering because there are a lot of people that don't get named who die, and they're not soldiers.
I came from Cyprus, 1954, September. In 1954, my numbers came up in the for National Service, 13 National Service, Battalion Platoon. Well, I remember my mates, but I don't know where they are now. They're probably dead. And you get upset. I think it's important to remember, because it always goes away, and the young ones to remember. A pause for my friends, my army buddies, and all the world, and I pray for them, and I pray for everybody.
My father was a returned serviceman from the Second War, and I will naturally think of my dad, and I also will think of my uncle who died in the fall of Rabaul in the Second World War. Redcliffs was born from the result of Armistice Day. So this year, being 100 years since, we are planning, in fact, a celebration of peace. Our original settlers, 1,000 men, were returned from the First War. They came to Redcliffs, cleared the land, and 700 of them were allocated blocks, and this was their future peace, and we wish to celebrate that.